And welcome to Brunswick Cable Access News. Once again, I'm Don Keating. The 173rd Medina County Fair is slated for July 30th through August 5th. It will be full of entertainment, rides, games, and dinosaurs. This year, Dino Roar is coming to the fair. What is Dino Roar, you may ask? Well, Dino Roar is a 30 to 60 minute show with numerous animated dinosaurs. As mentioned in their promotional video, they have a T-Rex, a baby Triceratops, a baby T-Rex, and many more. Dino Roar comes to the fair from Belpre, Ohio, and has a grand total of 8 dinosaurs. Don't forget to bring your camera. You may catch a glimpse of a T-Rex and want a photo of it. The fair will kick off Monday with an 80s and newer demolition derby, have a motocross on Tuesday, a rough truck contest on Wednesday, Kane Brown performing with guest Smithfield. Sorry folks, that show is sold out. Followed on Friday with an open horse draft show and a demolition derby, and OSTPA modified truck and tractor pull on Saturday. And then the fair will close out on Sunday with a farm tractor pull, Buchan, Ohio bull riding, and it will finish the evening with fireworks. For additional information such as ticket prices, a complete schedule, and more, go to the web address listed at the bottom of the screen, medina-fair.com. And speaking of fairs, as county fairs and eventually the Ohio State Fair kick into high gear, state health officials are reminding fairgoers to be extra precautious in and near livestock exhibits, displays, and barns. This, of course, is due to the swine flu outbreak that occurred at the Ohio State Fair in 2017. State and county health officials urge people to take the following precautions when attending the Ohio State Fair or county fairs again this year. Wash your hands after touching any animal. Do not eat, drink, or put anything in your mouth while in the animal areas. Leave strollers outside and carry small children in the animal areas. Research shows that people with weakened immune systems, older adults, pregnant women, and young children are at particular risk for the illness when exposed to the animals. The Ohio Department of Agriculture works closely with the state fair boards to increase access to hand washing stations and hand sanitizers, plus educational signage to be posted at fairs. Frequent hand washing can reduce the risk of getting sick from the flu, salmonella, E. coli, and other illness. Whatever you do at the fair this year, use common sense, be safe, and most of all, have fun. Members of the Medina County Port Authority approved a new agreement with county officials which governs the sale of property at Innovation Park in Lafayette Township. Terms of the agreement were negotiated with county commissioners over the past several months and essentially call for the net proceeds of any property sold in the undeveloped technology park to be shared on equal basis between the county and Port Authority. We tried to make this agreement as simple as possible and avoid some of the complications that existed in previous agreements, said County Administrator Scott Miller, who helped negotiate the terms. County commissioners contributed about $262,000 to the development of the park before turning over control of the 60-acre property to the Port Authority, which is obligated or obliged to pay that sum back to the county from the sale of land to developers. Bethany Dentler, administrator for the Port Authority, told board members on June 6th that land at Innovation Park should be worth from $25,000 to $40,000 per acre based on the sale of similar industrial land in the area. Miller said he is hopeful the new sales and marketing agreement with the county will be helpful in selling off some of the development lots at the park, since it is allowed the Port Authority to immediately share in any proceeds from sales without first paying the county the full $262,000 it owes to the county commissioners. We just want to see the land sell, said Miller. Dentler said the Port Authority has had a few inquiries about the land at Innovation Park, but no purchase offers in the 12 years it has been marketing the property. The most recent prospect for development at the park, located next to the Medina County University Center, turned out to be another rejection. Dentler said an 18-acre parcel in the park was one of the 3 potential building sites in Northeast Ohio recommended for a new research and development facility by the Economic Development Agency Team NEO. However, it was not one of the 5 statewide sites selected for consideration by Jobs Ohio, which is acting on behalf of a developer seeking a site near the university, which could collaborate with its researchers. The Port Authority touts Innovation Park as a premier business property for the 21st century with exceptional communications capabilities provided by the Port Authority's fiber network loop and easy access to technical training for a workforce at the neighboring University Center. Both the University Center and Innovation Park are built on land that was once owned by the county and once was a working farm that helped support the Medina County home located nearby. The university and industrial park were the products of several years of negotiations and a $1.2 million grant from the state's New Frontiers program to build the infrastructure for the college and industrial park. The Port Authority was organized around the same time the University Center was built to channel funding for the project. The Port Authority was given title to the property with the understanding it would pay the county $260,000 for the property once it sold to a developer. How to replace about 700 aging voting machines is a question the Medina County Board of Elections is expected to address this summer. State leaders like Secretary of State John Husted have called for all counties to update their voting equipment before the 2020 presidential election. The Ohio legislature has responded by introducing legislation that would provide about $115 million to help Ohio's 88 counties to replace voting equipment, which in Medina and most other counties is 14 years old. Adoption of the state bill to purchase new voting equipment was held up in the Ohio House, which effectively shut down for 3 weeks while members struggled to select a new speaker. However, State Rep. Steve Hambley said the legislation on voting equipment was a top priority once the House went back into session when Representative Ryan Smith was finally elected June 6th to replace Cliff Rosenberger, who resigned in April amid an FBI investigation. It's one of the high-profile bills on our agenda, said Hambley. It has the support of the County Commissioners Association of Ohio and the Ohio Association of Election Officials, and something I support. This will definitely help Medina County. The legislation introduced by State Senator Frank LaRose calls for counties with more than 100,000 registered voters like Medina to get at least $406,000 in funding. Medina County has about 123,000 registered voters. Supporters of the bill said it would cover about 80% of the cost to replace the voting machines, but that is only if counties select the cheapest option approved by state and federal election officials. The lowest cost devices are optical scanners, which read paper ballots. Medina County uses a more complicated touchscreen voting machine that has been popular with voters and the Board of Elections. A preliminary discussion on voting equipment last year suggested it could cost Medina County up to $4.2 million to replace its 700 voting machines. Pam Miller, chairwoman of the Board of Elections, said, "We've got some decisions to make. We're going to take a closer look at our options this summer and decide what we think will be the best option for our voters and the county." Miller said there is some new technology available that the board will consider, along with updates of the touchscreen machines it now uses, the optical scanning devices, and a newer hybrid of the two systems. Miller said there is no doubt the voting machines in Medina County should be replaced because they are becoming obsolete. The board will try to make a decision in time to have the new voting machines in place for the 2019 general election. Miller said the board would like to test the new machines in at least one election before the big 2020 presidential election. Hot and humid weather is here, and with it comes the increased dangers of anyone having heat exhaustion, or worse yet, heat stroke. On the average, about 660 people die every year in the United States from heat and humidity. Heat stroke occurs when a person's inner body core temperature reaches 105 degrees. This can cause nausea, fever, confusion, and loss of consciousness. The human body's response to heat is dependent on three factors, including activity level, humidity, and temperature. The body under normal conditions will adjust to maintain its core temperature. A long day in the sun can lead to heat cramps, heat fainting, fatigue, and heat stroke. Victims of heat stroke may experience headache, dizziness, lack of sweating, muscle cramps, rapid heart rate, and fainting. If you suspect heat stroke, call 911 immediately. Delays in seeking medical attention can kill while waiting for an ambulance. Place the patient in a cool, air-conditioned room or a shady area, removing any unnecessary clothing. If ice or water is available, there are ways to cool the patient down. You can fan the patient after placing him or her in an ice bath. If ice packs are available, apply to the groin, neck, armpits, and the back. So remember, while it is a nice change from the long, cold, and snowy winter that we had, heat should be taken seriously. Be sure to check on the elderly and make sure they have plenty of cold water and a way to stay cool indoors. The same goes for Fido. Make sure your pets have plenty of fresh and cooled water several times a day. Be sure to keep them in a shaded area if they are outdoors all the time. If no shade is available, at least make sure they have a dog box they can get into to shade themselves from the sun. And welcome back. Thanks for joining me once again here on Brunswick Cable Access News. We have a very special interview today. It's with the Manager of Information and Public Communications, Mr. Jeff Neidhart, the far left of me, and in the middle here, the Access Specialist, Mr. Tom Kepler. Thanks for joining me, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
First off, I should formally say thanks to you, or the powers that be, who said, yes, go ahead and try this guy and see how he does, for allowing me to do this show. And hopefully you haven't had too many hate-filled emails to this point in time. No?
I haven't heard anything.
Nope, I haven't had any.
Nothing yet?
Nope, not yet.
We have to have somebody watch it first.
All right, well, we can change that, you know. All right, anyway, Mr. Neidhart, you are going out. You are leaving the building, so to speak.
Yep, I'm retiring.
After how many years?
It will just shy of 32. About a month shy of 32 years. Right.
Okay. And so I'm sure you're looking forward to retirement.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And you're going to play the lottery, hit it, and remember all of us in your...
That's something, yeah. Or maybe just go to the casino and see what I can turn over at the casino.
That'll work too. So you were here for 32 years. How
Right.
did you get involved with the station?
It was just an odd thing. My sister-in-law contacted me. I was working at another small cable operation in southern Summit County. It was called Mark's Cablevision at the time, later sucked up by Time Warner, as most everything was. And I was working there, and she said, hey, there's this job up in Brunswick that it looks like you might be eligible for. So at the time, I was making a whopping $10,000 a year in my salary. You know, back then, that was still seemed like a lot of money. This job paid $16,000. So
Whoa.
I thought, what the heck? I'm going to apply. You know, I'm like doubling my salary. So I did that, and then came up, applied, made it through the process, and was hired in here.
So what changes and growth to the station have you seen in the past 3 decades?
There are phenomenal changes just in technology alone, and the station as well. When I first started, I was the only employee at the city. So basically, any TV show I did, I actually would set up a camera in front of me, position it with the monitor so I could see what I was doing, and I just spoke to the camera. I didn't have any other staff. We used 3/4 inch video equipment, which the videotapes were about this big, about 3/4 inches thick, portable recorders, large heavy cameras. Now the image quality that anybody can get on a cell phone is mind-bogglingly better than that camera was, but still that was a state-of-the-art product at the time. So we've seen over the years, a number of changes in technology that have been great. And then here as well, we started off just running a government channel, added the recreation channel, and then back in the early 2000s, we added the public access channel, which is what we're on now, where we train members of the public to come in and do TV programs. So that was a big changeover for us.
So basically the public access channel is BAT TV, correct? Okay,
Correct.
And in a nutshell, how did that come to be?
Technically, back in the 80s, 70s, late 70s, early 80s, cable companies actually had to negotiate contracts with the city as far as what services they were going to provide. And that was one of the services that was in our original franchise that was supposed to have been provided by the company with Shamrock Cable at the time. And they were supposed to be doing that. They did not do it, and Cablevision took over toward the end of that when the contract came up for renewal. The city actually really wanted to see more community programming. We were doing our own government programming at the time. They wanted to see the community programming come up. So they basically, long story short, we ended up in a very large lawsuit with Cablevision. It went to the federal courts, all the way to a federal district court. We actually won that case. Cablevision had to relinquish control of the channel to the city. We took it over, got some settlement money. That's what ultimately enabled us to buy this facility, which was great. So we planned ahead. It took us a little while longer to get here, but we saved the money and then we're able to build the studio and buy all the equipment that was needed.
Now, of course, you have this show that I'm doing now, and you have Psychic Sushi and the Potpourri Show and others. Right. Ballpark figure on how many shows have been turned out?
I couldn't tell you exactly. I mean, we have literally hundreds and hundreds of shows every year. We've been doing this since about 2002, so we're well into the thousands of programs. Some of our shows are weekly, so right there, that's 52 programs every year from those producers. So we've had literally thousands of programs over the years.
And of course, over the past years, now has the quality of the programming I'm guessing it's gotten better. How has it advanced?
Well, it depends, on the learning curve of the individual. I mean, some people are still a little rough when they start out, so some shows are still done basically. Some people get more elaborate with graphics, and you're a prime example. You guys are using the technology with graphics and green screen and everything. Some people do that. Some prefer just to do a simple talk show. So we have, runs the gamut. Quality-wise, as far as the video quality, everything looks really good on our channels now. We're still in SD. That's only because that's what the cable companies allow us to use. They've not upgraded our signals to HD yet, but we're poised to be able to do that if that happens.
Do you think that'll happen in the immediate future?
No, honestly, because the cable companies would have to spend money. I think if they're not required to do it, so they've pretty much kept all access channels back in SD quality.
And what type of response have you received from the community since BAT TV has come along?
I mean, we've gotten a lot of response. We get a lot of comments, especially like the government programs. We were just talking about that earlier, that people, the staff people at the city that have appeared on the government shows are recognized in the community just because people know who they are because they've seen their faces, which is a great thing. I mean, that's one of the things that I think is the best thing that we've done here is put the government before the people, and we became transparent before that was even a term that anybody thought of. We've been televising the city council meetings, township trustee meetings since the early or late 80s. So I mean, that's a pretty good testament to how long we've been doing it and getting those meetings out so people see their elected officials at work.
Okay. Tom Kepler.
That's me.
Immediately to my left. You're taking over the position as access specialist. And
that's where I'm at now.
That's where you're at now.
Taking over his position.
Taking over his position. Yep. I stand corrected. What type of background do you have in broadcasting or whatever position you'll be in?
In broadcasting, I used to do live sports. I'd be on the sidelines doing football. I'd be the one curling up all the wires behind the cameraman running. Used to do technical directing for a minor league hockey team. So I'd queue up in all the replays, I'd do all the scoreboard graphics, I'd do pretty much everything. I'd point to the intern cameraman, the puck's over there, go. So as far as broadcasting, it's been mainly sports, but I've always been creative. I went to college for music up until the point I realized I'm paying $100 grand for a piece of paper saying I can play trombone when I can just go anywhere and play my trombone and prove to you I'm a musician.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always been creative, but this is more of a management position. So the only management skills I really have are from the old family business we used to have. So outside of that, this is kind of a new realm for me, and I'm looking forward to the challenge and the opportunity.
Great. How did you come to work here at Bat TV?
I actually interned here quite a while ago, and the guys liked me, so they brought me in for a job, and I kind of owe the building up of the studio and everything and the glory it is now, and hiring me on, kind of all the Jeff and the guys here, because they set a pretty good foundation, and I know he's setting me up for success. So
What do you look for, and as far as the future goes, as for Bat TV?
the future, anything could happen. We can go virtual reality, we can go video games, we can go anywhere. We got new generations of people thinking up things. I know this is the old cliche thing you hear, but kids now are learning more electronic things than I knew, than anybody generations past knew. So if I want to think 30 years in the future, like Jeff retiring right now, I don't even know what capacities we'll have. So I just hope through everything we can be professional and honest about everything and bring people in to learn. So more shows like yours, where I know you want to be on the news and all that. That's why you're doing this, because you have a passion for it. I hope we can just bring more of that to the community.
Mm-hmm. What type of wish list would you have for the station or for programming, technology, etc.?
I think that's about what I summed up for. Technology, I have no way of knowing, so hopefully we can just keep up with whatever it is and it doesn't get too expensive or out of hand, and we can handle it and stay one step ahead of our public users so we can teach them what to do, and just more passion. And I kind of like being a musician, I like the entertainment side, so as far as the public channel, I'd like to see some live music go on there, some entertainment. The opinions and the forums, they're all great, but I think to come full circle, we need a little bit of everything, so, which is kind of what we have now. So I'd like to answer your question, everything we have now, just more of it.
More of it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's hope for the best in the future. I'm sure your station will continue to grow. And thank you for joining me.
Sure, you're welcome.
Good luck and have fun in the future.
Thank you.
With your retirement.
Thank you.
And I'll look forward to working with you additionally down the road.
Sounds good. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us once again. We'll be right back. It appears as if the summer of 2018 is going to continue to be a hot and stifling one. I'll be back in just a moment with your weather forecast. Welcome back. It looks like our weather pattern has set itself up to give us a very warm and muggy summer. With the exception of a few breaks every now and then with a little below normal temperatures, it looks like it's going to be a hot, humid one. So do whatever you have to keep yourselves cool during this summer. Let's take a look at our weather headlines for Brunswick and Medina County. The average high and low for the time frame, July 4th to July 10th, it looks like this. Your average high is reaching 81 to 82 degrees, and that 82, by the way, is about as high as we go for the average high. And your average low, of course, is starting to level off. Your average low is 60 degrees for that time period in early to the beginning of mid-July. And of course, with those thunderstorms that develop here and there, in between, you'll get about 9/10 of an inch of liquid on the average for that time frame from the 4th to the 10th of July. Now let's take a look at the National Weather Service outlook as far as temperatures is concerned. And you can see in this shaded area right here from the Lake Erie shoreline all the way down toward I-71 and then towards Cincinnati, this shade of red indicates there's about a 60% likelihood of above normal temperatures. So if you're looking for a break from the heat and humidity, I'm afraid it's not going to happen. But look at this target out here, the area of the Dakotas into Minnesota. There is a better than 70% chance of above normal temperatures. Doesn't mean it's going to be any hotter, but it just means the heat will be more entrenched in that area. Now, what about precipitation? You can always be bone dry, or you can always be soggy as a very wet sponge this time of the year because of precip. So let's take a look at our precipitation map for the next week and see how things are expected to possibly come out. And that, if you're tired of the rain, could be good news. Although the minimal possibility of 33 to 40% below normal runs from the lower Great Lakes into the lower Ohio Valley and into the Mississippi Valley, Here in the northern plain states, you can see a 33 to 40% chance of above normal precipitation. And that below normal pattern, of course, unfortunately runs all the way out here into the Pacific Northwest, where it's been below normal for the past several months, and it looks as if it's going to be below normal for the next 7 to 10 days. That's the way your weather looks right now. I hope you have a cool time frame. Make sure you're hydrated plenty out there. Keep an eye on the elderly as well as the animals. Make sure everybody has plenty of cold water. Refresh it several times a day. Once a day simply is not going to do the trick. The City of Brunswick is holding its second Advance Brunswick Public Forum on July 12th from 6 to 7:30 p.m. at City Hall, 4095 Center Road. The City of Brunswick is updating its comprehensive plan and would like to gather community input in the process. The comprehensive plan, Advance Brunswick, will serve as a guiding document that assesses existing conditions and future needs in order to provide strategic recommendations for the city's future. Advance Brunswick will encompass all aspects of the community, from economic development and land use to transportation and infrastructure improvements and parks and recreation enhancements. This is the second of 3 public forums where residents will be able to discuss the comprehensive plan. The Rec Center Summer Concert Series continues July 8th with Eddie and the Edsels. Gather at the Rec Center's outdoor stage, weather permitting, or indoors if it rains, from 6 to 8 p.m. for this free event. With 2 Las Vegas-style shows and a huge repertoire of songs, Eddie and the Edsels have been involved in the promotion of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and have performed shows for the Palace and State Theaters. Shows also have included the Rock and Roll Rendezvous at Playhouse Square, Legends of the Rock and Roll Show at the Cleveland Convention Center, and co-headlining with Sonny Gerasi at the Avalon Event Center. Eddie and the Edsels have also been featured at various casinos, resorts, and fundraisers. Please remember to bring a lawn chair or a blanket for your comfort. We asked for your photos enjoying the Festival of Summer. To get us started out, producer Louis Tyree caught a couple of shots to share. What is a summer festival without fresh, cooled lemonade? Or a small child excited about picking out their prize? Or a personal favorite of childhood, the duck pond? And that wraps it up for this week's Brunswick Cable Access News Show. I want to thank you for joining me once again. And don't forget, if you have any show suggestions or photos you would like to share, send them to our email listed below. Until the next time, I hope you have a great day. And I'm Don Keating for the Brunswick Cable Access News.
The preceding program was made possible through the use of equipment and facilities of Brunswick Area Television.